Welcome to Podcast, where nothing goes wrong.
Oh,
This is definitely not the second take of this.
it
Incoming
was.
where I incoming where I put a picture right here of the tweet we just put out. Yeah. Audio listeners, you just gonna have to look on the Twitter at Pond Hockey Podcast, Pond Hockey Pod to understand the context there.
uh,
Um, yeah, no, for reference, we tried to do an episode. We got about 5-ish minutes in. Then my Wi-Fi decided to just give up on life for like what 5-7 minutes, something like that.
yeah, yeah. Do you
And
have
so
like do you have like Comcast or something? Like,
I think I have Xfinity.
oh yeah, yeah. So yeah.
It's wonderful.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that was wonderful. But we hear nothing. The internet is not going to stop me from covering the Cup final and everything else that's happening as we
If it died again. Oh no, he's frozen again.
you okay.
Oh, okay. All right. We
I got so scared for a second.
Oh my gosh.
I
This
really thought
is
my internet
starting
was
off
about to do it again.
this is starting
Oh
off
my
to be a shit
great
show and a
start.
half. A shit show and a half,
I
man.
don't know how much I cut out there, but yeah.
For a solid like 5 seconds. All right. Well, we have Nick.
We
We
are
gotta
here.
start it.
Let's
We're
start.
starting off strong. Starting off strong. All right. So this was around where we were in the
A week
last
ago.
take
Oh
of the
yeah.
recording. Um So, if you guys saw on Twitter, we wanted to do something for Pride Month. Really, why it's important to us, why it means something to us, and I want to point out a charity that is very near and dear. As it's a charity that I've been involved with. I've donated to it a couple of times, and I've been a part of a couple of fundraisers throughout the last couple of years for it. But starting off, for me, Pride Month is really just about supporting my friends and family, you know. For me, it's more the fact that a lot of the time from what I've seen, there isn't much of a hey, you belong here and hey, you're loved and you're accepted right now in society because really we've taken a couple of steps backwards instead of forwards, which is just terrible to see. Especially with my friends in the community, like they're people. They shouldn't be judged for who they love. And especially in the sport of hockey, as you guys are aware, we're going to cover this topic in a later episode this summer with players like during Pride nights, making the night kind of about themselves in a way by not participating, wearing the Pride jerseys, which go to charity with the proceeds off the jersey. But for me, just Pride Month means supporting my friends and family and just trying to be a beacon of hope in the sport of hockey that, hey, you belong here. You're accepted. You're loved. There's a place for you here. And that's really what I want to do. Um, Now, a charity that I want to highlight is called the Trevor Project. And now, what the Trevor Project does is it raises funds to help support teens in the LGBTQ plus community. It also helps them with mental health services, suicide prevention, just stuff like that. It's a very good cause. I highly recommend that you guys check them out. I will have them linked in the description and the YouTube clip. If you guys want to find out more, I will have a donation link as well going to our Twitter right after this podcast is up. Um, Really, that's just what it means to me. Just wanting to promote a good cause, promote support for friends and family, because I'm sure all of our listeners know or love someone that is in this community and they need to feel welcome.
I love that promotion. You couldn't have done it any better for something that is like a really important cause. And I never, especially for me, talk for personal experience, I never really like thought of it as important until you get to actually know people.
Oh,
Like it's
yeah.
something that's definitely out there important. It's like as soon as like you get someone in your life that's like a close friend, you
Yeah.
start. I feel like you start understanding it a a little bit better, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. And like when you meet people and when especially like when they're a close family member or a close friend, like you learn very quickly that hey, this is still the same person that I've loved and have had a close relationship with. They're not any different from me because of who they love. They shouldn't be
Yeah,
treated any differently because of who they love, you know? It's one of
I
those
know
things
facts of
like
that.
we have to treat people like people instead of just saying, "Oh, you're different. You don't belong here because you're different from me."
Yeah, no, people who do that, they're goofy as hell. Honestly, there's people like that are just dumb.
Yeah. So
So
what I want to do is all of the episodes in June. If you guys have any help with this, please let me know if there's a charity you want me to give a shout out to and want to put a donation link to in our Twitter, on Instagram, on our YouTube page. Just let me know. So for each episode in June, I want to highlight a new charity that supports the LGBTQ plus community, especially like highlight some of the stuff they do out in the community as well. Just stuff like that. I don't want our Pride Month promotion to just be like, hey, we changed our profile picture.
yeah,
Like, hey, we support you. Like, no, I want to do something proactive, do something to help support people in the community, stuff like that. So if you guys know any resources, please feel free to reach out to us, tweet us, DM us, do whatever you have to do, and we'll get in touch.
we'll be keeping this updated throughout June. So, and I think one thing we should we'll yeah, not words. What we will be doing is when we get a good list of more charities along with the Trevor Project, we will have that pinned to our Twitter, so that way people want to find it, they can instantly find it for the next throughout June.
Yeah, and even after June ends, if there's ever a charity, like no matter what it is
Yeah,
that you want us to highlight, just let us know. Like that's something that we'd be very interested in doing, especially if it goes to a good cause, like you guys know. So just please reach out. We'd be more than willing to help out.
I couldn't have started off on a better, on a more. I like this as well. We're starting off on a really positive note, considering
Yeah.
sometimes we will either be bashing our teams or bashing the league sometimes to get the
Yeah.
nice. Well, don't worry, there'll be plenty of both those things, but
Oh yeah. Yeah.
but it's nice to
Yeah.
get. It's nice to start off on a really like upbeat note. Yeah,
Yeah. Start off on a positive note.
yeah,
Um Speaking of positive notes, some exciting hockey going on right now in the Stanley Cup Final. Um,
yeah.
as of recording the show, Game Two is going on right now. Vegas is up 3-0 on the Florida
Put a
Panthers, and
third in.
around
Curtis,
16 minutes
yep.
left in the second period.
Third goal courtesy of Nicholas Waugh.
Wow! So we can get into talking about the Stanley Cup Final. Couple surprising things from this series, at least on my end. Something that Vegas has been doing very well that other teams haven't. Vegas has done a very good job kind of keeping Florida's aggression like hemmed in. Florida's of course getting their aggressive forecheck on Vegas, but they haven't really done anything to force mistakes out of the Knights like they've done to like Boston or Toronto or Carolina.
Yeah. And I think one good thing we highlight I kind of highlighted it in the last episode was that they were able to out hit, out punch, out basically just frustrate the other team into making a ton of mistakes. And especially with Vegas's back end, like their entire back six, they
Oh
could
yeah.
do that and then some to Florida. And what's wild is it's not even like Vegas is playing strong defense. In fact, honestly, I would say they're probably playing their worst defense since the second round.
Yeah, they've been pretty average this series. I mean, it's a small sample size.
They're
They're
getting
doing well
shelled.
enough. They're doing well enough to get the job done. It's actually kind of like the opposite of what Vegas's identity has been throughout the playoffs. It's normally been
Hmm.
like strong defense. You don't really need to rely on Aiden Hill all that much, though when you have had to rely on him, he's done a
He's made
fantastic
big plays.
job.
Yeah.
But so far in this series, it's been the Aiden Hill show instead of like the defense being like world beaters.
No, the defense has actually been their weakest point throughout those two games.
Oh yeah. And it, like, you can honestly with Florida, like especially with how they've scouted Vegas, I'm not surprised that their defense has taken a little bit of a hit because Florida has had a ton of time to scout Vegas and scout their defensive structure.
Yeah.
I actually think this could play in Vegas's favor though, because though they're struggling on defense, their defensive structure is probably completely going to change, which is going to throw the Panthers off.
Oh yeah.
And especially when you let Aiden Hill shine, maybe they didn't scout him well enough on his weak spots. I mean, you never know. It's a long series. We're only in game 2. Stuff can happen.
Oh yeah. A
We've
lot
had
of
a
stuff
we've
can
had a
change.
3-goal comeback happen on this show before. So like nothing's ever over in hockey.
Very, very, very
Yeah.
true. That's so funny. I forgot
But
about that. I forgot that game was the one.
yeah, I remember right after the episode was over, Toronto scored the tying 4-4 goal like while we were in the studio.
Right. Because I was
And when we were in the studio, like I was panicking because I didn't think I had muted the mic to go off the airways. And when we're on DSR, we like we take liberties in the summer because like we're not on the radio waves or anything like that. Like we're not doing a live
yes.
show or anything like that. But I was swearing like a sailor when that was happening, and I'm like, oh shit,
Oh,
I
it
don't
was so
know if I
funny.
muted the mic.
And what's even funnier, well, it's also because it's easy. It's easier to just you could just go to the side and press this glorious mute button.
Oh yeah. For our listeners, he just muted himself. His Wi-Fi didn't go out this time.
No, thank God.
But
But yeah, no, it's been a while. Plus, can we talk about the save? The save,
dude,
probably one of the
dude,
most insane saves I've ever seen.
that is probably the best save in a Stanley Cup Final since Braden Holtby in 2018.
To Vegas.
Yeah, and it happened in the same crease in the same spot too. It's crazy. Same crease in the same spot. It just the roles were reversed. So part of me is like,
Yeah,
does Vegas have the hockey gods on their side? I don't know
because
yet.
after that goal, that series completely flipped for Vegas.
Oh yeah, it completely flipped. Like the Caps got all the momentum and
Oh,
finished it out in 5. Like it was crazy.
like the highlight is now 4-0 Vegas. Brett
Oh my
Hoden with the
gosh.
goal and Mark Stone with an assist.
Still, nothing's over. Nothing's over yet.
No, no, nothing's over, but they are
Well,
shelling Florida right
yeah.
now.
We'll count them out when we see it. We'll count them out when we
Oh
see
yeah,
it.
no,
But
when the final whistle blows for third period, but like I said,
yeah.
they're playing a great first half
Oh
right now.
yeah. That is literally like the only time you can ever count a team out in hockey. It's like, oh, did the final whistle go off? No. Okay, this game's still happening.
But yeah, that's the beauty of sports. But I think no, but that save was like that was
I
one of
don't
the
know.
craziest things ever. I watched on Sportsnet again just to like see what I saw, and I
Yeah.
still cannot believe that save. I don't know how he did it, and I don't know how they cleared it right after as well. That was
Little bit of skill, little bit of luck. I still don't know how Aiden Hill was able to reach back like that and get the puck on his
this.
paddle. I have no idea how he did it because he was sliding the opposite way and just dove back like it was like there was no effort. Like he literally was just like, "Oh shit, I have to reach
Yeah.
back."
Well, I
Like it's
swear there was a
crazy.
goalie in the 90s used to do that. I want to say, was it Dominic Hasek?
It was
I thought he
Dominic
was known for
Hasek,
that. Yeah,
the
he was known for like
Dominator,
something like that. I was like, that was
dude.
crazy.
And like just we can go on like the goalie talk. Like for me, speaking of Dominic Hasek, like just for me talking, like I know a lot of people say like Marty Brodeur is the best goalie of all time, or like maybe Patrick Waugh is the best goalie of all time. For me, it's Dominic Hasek,
He's up
just
there,
because of
yeah.
the quality of those saves, man. Like I think Patrick Waugh is definitely up there because he pioneered the butterfly position, and Marty
Yes.
Brodeur, like he has the most career wins, sure, but just in terms of sheer skill and like sheer will of putting a team on his back and carrying them, for me, it's Dominic Hasek. Like he's crazy. He had a span in his career where I think he won like 5 Vezina trophies in 7 years or something crazy like that. Like he was nuts. He was nuts.
That's crazy. Oh my goodness.
Also, like I never would have pictured like even 2 months ago putting Aiden Hill and Dominic Hasek in the same segment of a podcast. I never would have thought that would have happened.
Aiden Hill wasn't even the goalie until like halfway through the playoffs until Laurent Brossoit got hurt.
He wasn't even the
Or
starting
no.
goalie of the Sharks.
Oh no, he was not. Was it Brissois or
Yeah.
was it Logan Thompson? Who was it that got hurt in the
Uh,
playoffs?
Brissois started in the playoffs. Um, and then it was Aiden Hill because I think Logan Thompson was injured before the playoffs started. Robin Lehner's been out all year. And Jonathan Quick they acquired because they had no idea what they had in goalie, and like now look at them.
Yeah.
And if Vegas wins, Jonathan Quick and Phil the Thrill Kessel are going to be 3-time Stanley Cup champions if Vegas wins. Phil the Thrill, baby.
From Cup winner to Arizona to Cup winner.
He's in the press box.
Is he even playing?
No, he's played like 4 games. He has 2 assists though, so like he's
Oh
half a
yeah,
point a
he's not
game.
even playing. I guess that's true if you got guys like Brett Hoden and Carrier and Barbashev and Amadio and Kolsar. I guess you really don't need him.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a place for him in the league though, because he only
Oh
signed a one
yeah.
year he only signed a 1 year deal with Vegas. I still think there's
No,
a space for
he'll
him.
get signed with somebody. No, without question. It's just that Vegas has so much depth right now that
Yeah,
he's obsolete.
I honestly predict like it would be somewhere like San Jose, someone like that. Maybe Columbus. Well, Mike Babcock, I don't think so, but well, bury the lead. That's later.
Is it though?
Yeah, because
I
like
guess so.
we still have a little bit to talk about in the final because like
That's true.
we predicted that like it would be a close series. It
We
still has a
did.
potential to be. It's only 2 games in, but
You said they win in. I think you said Florida wins in 7. I said
yeah,
Vegas wins in 6.
yeah. But the thing that pops out to me, other than Aiden Hill's save, is just Bobrovsky has looked very human in this series and like concerningly human.
Yeah, well, they talk. Well, if you we talked about it as well the last few
Yeah.
times. Like some of the numbers were just like one very unlike him, and two, um, almost like unsustainable.
Yeah, like you can't keep putting up like 0.938 save percentages,
Or like
But
having expected goals against like be at 18 or something
yeah.
ridiculous. Like who was the goalie it was getting compared to? J.S. Jagari.
Oh, I know. J.S. Jaguar for the
Good
Anaheim
old.
Ducks who
It's
won the
time to
Conn
get
Smythe.
jiggy. Time to
J.S.
get jiggy with
Jaguar is like the
it.
only player ever to win the Conn Smythe on the losing team. Like, he's crazy. That
Yeah.
run was crazy.
I
Like
love
we
wow.
might I think we were too young to remember that because I think it was
Oh 3, right?
2003? 2003? Something
What
like that.
the they went to the cup or won it? Because I know they won one as well. I think it was
Anaheim won it in '04. Hang on a second. There's an
let's
easy
fact check
way.
this.
There's an easy way to find this. Conn Smythe Trophy
Oh
thing.
seven
'07.
when they beat Ottawa with Spezza,
The Ducks
Albertson.
won it in '07. J.S. Jaguar won a Conn Smythe on the losing team.
Yes, that year
I think it
was
was '03. It was '03. Yeah,
yes,
2003 against New Jersey.
yes.
That's the famous Paul Correa off the floor on the board after he got creamed.
Hmm. But yeah, no. So it is true if they don't get some form of. Do you think they stick with Bobrovsky if he keeps struggling?
I think you have to because he's the guy that got you there, I
Guess
mean,
that's true.
is Alex Lyon going to be any better? Like in that
Given
first
how this year
round,
goes, nothing has made sense with
yeah,
Florida. Bobrovsky stunk, so they tried Lyon. Lyon basically bailed them out into the playoffs.
yeah,
Then he played like trash against the Bruins. They put Bobrovsky in, and we all know what happened after that.
yeah. Because
So
I think they keep Bobrovsky in no matter what. I think he's the one who gives you the best chance to win. And
they're also paying him a ton of money.
funny enough, one of my friends who listens to the show, I actually kind of predicted the Bobrovsky thing because as a joke, I think it was like in our first or second episode, I told the Panthers that they had a guy who made history beating a 62 win team. The Panthers had a guy who beat a 62 win team as a backup goalie, and they should play him because he literally have history on their side. and they put Bobrovsky in the next game,
Oh my
and
god, oh my
they
god, I forgot about that.
stormed to the final.
I forgot about that.
Oh my
I
god,
forgot he was on that Blue Jackets team.
I predicted my own team's downfall. Oh my god. All right. Well, that
That's
sucks.
so funny.
Well, that sucks.
That's why I forgot. You know, it's the worst, but I completely forgot he was on that Blue Jackets team.
Yeah, yeah, he was like the main reason why they like he stole that series.
I remember because they lost three free agents that year. They lost Bobrovsky, Duchesne, and
Panarin.
Panarin. Yeah,
Yeah. Like, oh man,
can't
but
have anything good in Columbus.
yeah, I think they will eventually, but like
Not
that
right now.
future got pushed back a little bit. If I
Yeah,
think that's a good segue to get into
it's been some moving around with
so
the league right now.
the Columbus move is a move that I'd like to call the fucking because oh my god.
So yeah, they fired Brad Larson, and
Which like
we
okay.
all needed to happen. He was
Yeah.
getting spanked as a coach like
Yeah.
every time he went on the ice. He looked lost, and it needed to happen.
Yeah, he just was getting his tactics just weren't good enough. I mean, his players were so, but his tactics were just not good enough.
Terrible.
Yeah. He was
So
there
who
for
did
a
they
tanking
hire?
season.
Who did they go and hire? How about you do the honors, Jimmy?
The man of Sir Mike Babcock.
You heard that right, fans. That's not an illusion. He is coaching in 2023.
Oh dear fucking god.
So since I don't have a full experience of this, I'm gonna let Jimmy explain what Mike Babcock means because he's
So
coached. So let me get this straight. He's coached the Leafs, the Red Wings. Was that it?
Anaheim.
He coached Anaheim.
Yeah, I coached Anaheim.
I forgot about that.
So this is like the rationale I could see them hiring Mike Babcock for. Mike Babcock, other than the Leafs, is like a winning coach. I think he's won 3 Stanley Cups, something like that.
Yeah, well, he was winning with
Or
you
at
guys
least
as
he's
well.
he's been to a couple finals. I know he's been
Yeah,
to a couple finals. He's won at least one with the Red Wings in '08.
fact check this.
But like he tactically, he's a very good coach, very offensively minded. Really tough coach, but like kind of a John Tortorella type, just a quieter John Tortorella. Um, my problem with this signing,
He has one.
he has won with the Red Wings, and he's been to
Yes,
three Cup finals.
yes, two with the
Yeah,
Red Wings in '08 and '09, and one with the Ducks. The one he lost with
yeah,
Jageri in '03.
yeah. But my problem with Mike Babcock is like are like all the stories that came out about him, a lot of our fans may or may not be aware of these stories, but there were reports that came out when Mike Babcock got fired in 2019, 2020, where Johan Franzen was very upfront about Mike Babcock just being not really that great of a person. Like Mike Babcock would verbally abuse players on the bench due to performance. He would berate players. He would make them not want to show up to the rink every day. And like as a professional athlete, that's really saying something because you are in the rink all day, every day. You got to where you are, like most likely because you love the sport. It's something you're very passionate about. It's something that you've spent your entire life honing your craft. Um, but there was more than one account about Mike Babcock being just verbally abusive on the bench, and it wasn't just Johan Franzen. There were a couple players on the Leafs who
Yeah, there's some other
corroborated his
former players
claims.
as well.
Yeah.
I saw Mike Commodore and Chris
Yup.
Chelios also
Yeah.
called him out on some stuff.
Yeah. His most famous thing was Mike Modano was sitting on 999 games as a Red Wing in his last regular season game, and Mike Babcock healthy scratched him because he's a bitch.
Don't you remember the Leafs one?
Yeah. Oh, who was it?
Healthy
It was
scratching Jason
Spezza.
Spetz on
Yeah,
opening day for I don't even know
against the
who.
Sens.
We're
His
getting
former team, the Sens.
we're getting Nick Batan playing him for like one game. He like didn't he score that game? And he was like, nah, bye.
Yeah, don't like little guy apparently. Like what? Like god damn it.
Ew,
But
little guy gets sent down.
Mike Babcock is just, in my opinion, he's a dinosaur. Like he has his moments where he's a good dude, but like there's a difference between yelling at a player to inspire growth and to inspire them to play better versus verbally abusing someone and taking personal shots at them on the bench, which is like from all accounts that's what he was doing in the locker room and during games towards his own players, which like you just don't do. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't matter what level you're at, it just doesn't help.
It doesn't make good locker room chemistry as well. I think
No,
about it
it
with
doesn't.
there's things like in baseball when I had to watch Joe Girardi be a Phillies
Ugh.
freaking head coach, manager, painful. So it's one of these things where it's like great head coach, yes, he's tenured, he has a lot of experience, he even has a cup to his name and two finals as well, two other
Yeah.
final appearances as well. But it's like at some points, like, do you value yourself as like getting somewhere?
Like
It's like bringing in
especially
John Tortorella, just not as
yeah.
much of a freaking firebomb in terms of personality.
And in my opinion, John Tortorella, just in terms of like the man and the coach, in my opinion, he's a better coach than Mike Babcock is in terms of the inspiring better play. Because Tortorella will yell at you, but at the end of the day, like for every player that's ever played for him, except maybe Pierre-Luc Dubois, who is just his own type of person,
Weirdest play ever.
most players that have played for him, like all have said they love the guy. And for Mike Babcock, that's just not the case.
You could argue Tony D'Angelo, but
Well, Tony D'Angelo, like
it's another one
whatever.
of those cases. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Mr.
but
Fake
no,
Twitter account, Tony D'Angelo, New York
but no, you
Rangers
are right
fan, a
with
bunch of
that
numbers.
because it's like the Flyers were projected to be one of the worst teams in the
Yeah.
league, and they somehow I don't even think finished top five worst. So,
No,
and their
and
team is trash. Their
yeah,
roster is trash.
dude, like,
So it is a testament. He is a decent coach. I
yeah.
will give him that.
And for the Flyers, I don't think hiring Tortorella was a mistake, but the mistake was hiring him last year because this draft was a very deep draft, and Connor Bedard is up here, like peak prospects, best prospect since Connor McDavid allegedly. Um, if the Flyers hired him this year, along with Danny Briere at GM and Keith Jones at president of hockey ops, that would have been a better move to me because you have like
Probably.
potentially Connor Bedard. So to me,
Yeah,
that move
I
would have
see that.
made more sense this year. And with the Columbus thing, just with Babcock, I like you have a lot of young players, very impressionable young players. And I don't think a guy like Mike Babcock is the best option for such a young organization, considering what he did to Mitch Marner.
Yeah, and this is what I want to ask. This is the last question I really got
Yeah.
about this. How do you think this is going to translate to how Columbus plays next year?
So I think Columbus is going to be a much more physical team because a lot of Mike Babcock teams are.
For the
Um,
better or worse, given the fact they're young and a lot of their players are not that big.
I don't think it plays to their play style. I really don't think it does. I mean, I would have
Who's their hardest
hired,
hitter? Freaking Gabranson.
yeah, I would have
Oh,
hired a guy like Alain Vigneault, someone like that, a guy who's pretty decent with young players. Like, I never in a million years would I have gotten Dallas Eakins like that. Just doesn't work out. We saw that experiment with the young players in Anaheim. It just didn't work. Um,
no.
but just with Babcock, the thing that rubs me the wrong way is he doesn't his opinions on concussions are just terrible. He doesn't believe in them. His
I did
treatment,
see something like that. Yeah.
oh, he's terrible. Like if you guys want to read more on it, like it is well documented. Just look up Mike Babcock concussion and it pops up. Um so the concussions, the treatment of players, and especially the treatment of the young players, because like he had Mitch Marner as a rookie rank his own teammates just based off their work ethic. And like at the face value of it, like, oh, that's not that big of a deal, it might be a gauge to like put him
Get a
with the
kick in the
teammate that
ass with
he
a team, or like a two. Like it also could be used as like if he finds this out, he's getting young, honesty from the young players, and he's like,
yeah,
okay, these people are being like, I've seen it happen with baseball and
yeah,
hockey and football. It's not a bad idea on its own. However,
yeah. But like, especially like if you want a guy like who thinks, hey, this player works hard as a rookie, I should model my game after him. I should play with him, get experience with him. But Babcock releases it to all of the other players in the locker room, which causes a problem. And luckily, all of the Leafs players took it extremely well. They didn't hold it against him or anything like that. Because like Marner was 18 and 19 years old when this happened. Like, imagine being in a room full of fully grown men saying, like, hey, your work ethic sucks. Like, of course, he didn't mean it like that, but it's just not a good look. It's not something you should be doing to young players. I hope Babcock has learned from his previous mistakes. Odds are he hasn't, but I just really hope that he adapts himself because if he doesn't, he's going to have a very short lived time in Columbus and back in the NHL.
probably for the best. Yeah. I just hope that it doesn't affect how they play. I think it might, but it's just because
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot that could be that should get better next year with Columbus.
Yeah, like I think a couple of their defensive prospects will make the jump. They'll probably get a good pick in the draft, which
And they're
doesn't
just
hurt.
hard to gauge right now.
They are. They are. I think they'll be good down the road, like in a couple of years when a couple of their guys get more developed.
Didn't they get
Maybe
some
get a
good value?
goalie.
Didn't they get good value for trading Corpusalo?
For the most part, yeah. They got a couple of prospects and they got a couple of picks, which of course you need. Um, just with Columbus, it's hard to gauge because they have a lot of good young players in their system. They just got to make the jump, and it's going to be like they're just going to be a young team where like there's going to be trial and error. They're going to be guys who need a change of scenery. They're going to be guys who flourish. They're going to be guys who are kind of middling. It's all about just figuring yourself out, like it's a process.
Mhm.
Which like it sucks to hear, but especially when you're a young team who is rebuilding, it
All you can really
happens.
do,
Yeah, and you just got to let the rebuild happen.
especially with a team that has usually a long track record of not being able to get like
Yeah.
free agent help usually.
And I think it'll come, like, especially with Columbus, if the team is good, then free agents will want to come there. Like, a lot of free agents want to go to a place like Edmonton because of Connor McDavid. If you get
Mhm.
a good team, people will want to go there. It would be the same thing for Arizona. If Arizona had a good team and an actual NHL building, then players would want to go there, but they don't.
Yeah.
Like Columbus isn't a bad area. It's not bad at all.
No.
Like it's one of those things where, if it's not one of these tropical areas and the team's not really going anywhere, then like, I mean, they got Johnny Gaudreau, so it's a start, but
It is proof. It's just like I think about all the players they lost. So like I said,
yeah.
Duchesne, Seth Jones, which
I
honestly,
actually think they're good on Seth
Yeah,
Jones.
Bobrovsky, Panarin. Um, it's
Nick
just a lot.
Foligno ended up leaving.
No, he got traded.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
requested.
that's true.
So, it's like any sport, man. If your team's good, people want to come. It doesn't really matter where it is. If you have good players around you, then they'll come. It
Yeah,
happens. But just the Babcock thing just kind of baffles me a little bit because I just don't really like the signing. I don't think it's that great of a fit. Personally, I would have looked a little while longer. Like I get it's pre-draft season and you want to have a coach like input, like, hey, who should we pick? Which guy do you think would fit our play style better? But at the same time, I think you could have gotten a better guy.
yeah, I agree with that.
It's like I would rather do what Anaheim did versus what Columbus is doing because they're in relatively the same spot. Anaheim and Columbus are just in terms of their rebuild. I think Anaheim did the right thing.
Firing Aikens was a must. Thank
firing
God.
Eakins and getting a new head coach, like he doesn't have any NHL experience, but he has AHL experience, which AHL is normally full of like young players, especially when a team's rebuilding. His name is Greg Cronin. I personally haven't really heard of him before. He used to be the head coach of the Colorado Eagles, which was the minor league affiliate to the Colorado Avalanche. Those prospects helped come up and win a Stanley Cup with Colorado last year. So, in my opinion, that's a pretty good fit. Has experience with developing players, which is what Anaheim needs. I don't think Anaheim necessarily needs results right now, but they need someone to be able to develop players like Zegras, like McTavish, just players
Terry,
like that, and
stuff like
especially
that.
whoever
Yeah.
they pick with their first round draft pick. And it's like that's really the key of the differences in the offseason. Like you need a coach depending on where you are. If you're in win now mode, you need like an established head coach who can get you over the hump, who can inspire your players during the playoffs. Not expiring them, that would be good, but just pushing them to get over the hump versus like if you're a rebuilding team, you need a guy that fosters development, that fosters a good culture, just stuff like that. And I think that Anaheim did a fairly decent job, even though I've never heard of the guy before. I think they did a very good job in their hire.
Oh, I agree. I think this should hopefully work out. If, like I said, they desperately need some moves, some free agent moves to start working, because
Yeah.
when they got Klingberg on that deal, I thought that was going to be a great idea. It did not work at all. Kevin Shattenkirk looked like a great idea on paper. That failed miserably.
Yeah, he
Uh,
did.
Plus all they got themselves stuck in some bad contracts as well.
Yeah.
Like,
To
I
give
think
you
they're
an
free of a lot of
idea,
them.
on Greg Cronin's experience. He was the head coach or graduate assistant at the University of Maine. He was an interim head coach at Colorado College. He
Okay.
also was the head coach of University of Maine for a couple of years. He's worked with the New York Islanders as an assistant coach. He's been the head coach of Northeastern. He was with the Toronto Maple Leafs for a little bit and went back to the Islanders. And then his most recent gig was with the Colorado Eagles in the AHL. So he has experience, just not any head coaching experience at
A
the
lot of like
NHL level.
bench coaching and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't. That's
Okay.
not bad.
I think that could work. Yeah.
He also has a silver medal at a junior championship, U20s.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a,
U20 World Junior Championship.
we'll definitely be keeping an eye on him. I'm hoping, like I said, I'm hoping for Anaheim's sake they get something, because,
Yeah,
like I said, I, I'm gonna make a little prediction here just for Anaheim. Expect to see a John Gibson trade potentially this summer.
I can see it, and I could see him going close to home for John Gibson.
What are you thinking?
I think he ends up with Pittsburgh.
That would
He's
be
had
wild.
ties with Kyle Dubas for a long time now
Oh, really?
because the Leafs were in discussion for him. I think John Gibson gets lured by the home factor and by a guy that he's had conversations with to
Also,
go to Pittsburgh.
you're not gonna start crying on camera, right?
Oh dear. All right. Well,
Time to
that's a
rip
good
the band-aid
segue.
off. Time to rip the band-aid off.
Yeah, time to rip the band-aid off. Go ahead.
So, um, yeah, I was actually gonna pull up the tweet. No, I'm not gonna do that. No, just simple news. Dubas found a job.
Yeah.
Who's shocked? The Penguins. It was the Penguins.
It's
So
almost like we said something about it on our second episode.
it's almost like everybody from a mile away saw it coming,
Yeah.
even shit posters like us.
Yeah.
But nah, this, like, I'm so glad Pittsburgh did this.
Oh, it's
I'm
massive. Massive.
so happy they fired Ron Hexton.
Oh, they needed to. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. I think Hextall would have been gone no matter what. Even in like the middle of the season. I think this move was just great for them. Like there's so much about Kyle Dubas as a person and as an executive that I think fits so well with Pittsburgh.
Especially because, like, it's the biggest issue with the Penguins the last few years have been drafting,
Oh yeah,
and actually I'm doing something
like like
pulling
his
up the
drafting
thing.
history. He doesn't necessarily like blow you out of the park or with like first round draft selections. This is kind of what the Penguins need though. What he does is if he has like a first round pick or a high second, if there's a player worth taking at that first round spot, he'll do it. But oftentimes, what he'll do is he'll trade down, try to get a couple more picks in the draft, mostly in the draft afterwards, because what he does is if his team is a contender, he tries to supplement the team with scoring using the picks that he acquired in the previous draft. That's why he was able to pull off the Ryan O'Reilly trade and the Jake McCabe trade, was because he had so many picks to choose from because of how many times he traded down. So like at
Yeah.
the time, it could seem like it's annoying. Like, why the hell is he doing this? We never pick with a first round pick. I think during the Crosby, Malkin, Letang era, you're still not going to have that great of a first round draft selection, but he's damn good at finding gems in the second round. He found Matthew Nyes in the second round. He found Pontus Holmberg in the second round. Like the guy can hit. He does. Like it's
Yeah.
just what they need.
Especially because I literally looked through the draft history of the Penguins. Yeah, it's bad. It's
They
really
haven't had a
bad.
first round pick in a long time. I think this last year was the
The last
first
guy who
round pick they
really
had.
like I'm looking through all the names of like first and second round picks. Ironically, Kasperi Kapanen was a Penguins pick. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but they got
Uh,
Kessel out of him, so it was worth it.
yeah, but I'm thinking like the list of people, and I don't know the trades and all that stuff, so I'm a little
Yeah.
unaware of that. But like I'm listening to like look at the guy, Daniel Sprong, Philip Gustafson, who
Ooh.
ended up going to the Sens. I don't
Yeah.
even know what came out of that.
Derek Brassard.
Oh God,
Yeah.
Casper Boquist, Zachary Lazon, who I knew had some just unfortunate things happen. He had a
Yeah.
lot of injuries. But you can't predict that. But like Philip Hallander and Kalen Adson, have either of those two
Yeah.
made impact?
And like with the
Sammy
Penguins
Poland, who
though,
stepped away.
yeah, he'll be back though.
Yeah, it's just their
Yeah.
draft history is
It's shaky. It's very
bad.
shaky.
Bad. There's
And
not much that's helping them the last few
yeah.
years.
And Dubas is going to bring all of like his Leaf scouts that he had that were good at hitting in the second round. And like, this is what the Penguins need. Like, one of their best players right now, Jake Gensel, wasn't a first round pick. Matt Murray, who won 2 cups with the Penguins, wasn't a first round pick. Brian Rust wasn't a first round pick. Players like that, you need guys who can find these gems like that, because oftentimes, especially when you're a contending team for so long, like the Penguins have been, you're not going to get that many first round picks. You're not going to be picking the cream of the crop at like top 4 or top 3, sometimes maybe even number 1,
No,
You
you're
need a
not with a team
guy
like that.
to supplement your talent, whether it's picking like late first, early seconds, or trading down and getting more picks to trade for well-established guys.
It's gonna be. I'm hoping he makes hockey better for Pittsburgh. I
Oh, I
really
think he
do.
will. I think the only reason he didn't succeed in Toronto was because one, it's Toronto, and two, it was because Brendan Shanahan was breathing down his neck for every decision that he was going to make.
I like the new GM.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just for me, like before we get to that, I think the other reason Kyle Dubas is a good fit for the Penguins is he came out and said that he believes in the core, like he believes in Crosby, Malkin, and Letang. And just in this point in their career, I know a lot of Penguins fans don't really want to hear this, but I think those three have deserved to finish off their career in Pittsburgh. They really have. They've won 3 cups there. They've been to 4 cup finals. They've given you countless memories. Like the guys signed there. They want to be there.
They all put their heart and soul into the
Yeah.
city.
I think they deserve to finish their careers out in Pittsburgh. A lot
I
of
feel
people are
like
like he shouldn't have handcuffed himself to this core or whatever, but in my opinion, the guys deserve to go out. Like to me, I don't trade any of those three players because they're icons in that city, and they're on the
No.
wrong side of 35 now, even so you can't really get that much trade value out of them.
And what's wild is they both played a great season.
Oh yeah,
They were two
all
of
of
the
them
best
did.
players, and from what I saw, they stayed healthy. They Malkin and Crosby played a full 82 games,
Yep,
like the first time in like a decade,
first time
or almost
ever.
first time ever.
First time
Yeah, first time
ever.
ever. So you can't really trade out of them. And
No,
would you as an organization in good faith trade Chris Letang after
no.
everything that happened to him this last year? I get business. Sports is a cold business. It's ruthless, and sometimes the best make harsh decisions. But there are just times where it's like you
There,
can't,
yeah. There's
you
not,
can't after he had a second stroke and lost his dad all
yeah.
in one season. I just there's no way
There's no
you can't.
circumstance I trade Chris Letang away. There's no circumstance I trade any of them away. They deserve to close it out. And honestly, I don't think that the big three in Pittsburgh were the problem. The
They were
problem
kind of
was
the
their
only reason
bottom
they weren't the
six.
problem.
The problem was the bottom six. Bottom six in goaltending.
Let's trade a second round pick for Mikkel Granlund.
And they're stuck with him for another 2 years. Like it's gonna be one of those things where like Penguins fans might not like it, but they're gonna have to trade that first round pick down to get rid of a bad contract. And it's not Dubas's fault. It's gonna be undoing what Hextall did. It might even be trading like
You might have to trade first to get rid of Jeff Carter's
yeah,
crap
you might have
contract.
to. You might have to. Because he's handcuffing your bottom six. Like they have $20 million in cap space or something like that, but a majority of that's going to go to a goalie. Um, I just don't think that the Penguins are in as bad of a situation that they're in. Like they can rebuild the bottom six, but they need to do something about Jeff Carter. They have to. It you can't have a guy making like 3 million a night not scoring any points for like 20 games straight. Like it's terrible.
It's horrendous.
Like I think if the Penguins fix their bottom six problems, they are a playoff team again, and they're comfortably a playoff team again.
And they could even make a run. Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
wouldn't
just
surprise me.
let's hope. Like I said, let's hope with Dubas there, that's gonna make a big change
It's gonna make
for
a
the better.
change. Yeah.
They really can't go much lower after how bad the season went,
No, they really can't.
both
They
on
really
and off
can't.
the ice.
Yeah, they really can't.
So
But Dubas's former team now.
remember we were making all the bets and I joked about names like Shirley or Bergevin.
Thank okay.
I really wished that's what happened. I would have been laughing and laughing and laughing. But no,
Thank fucking God it
it wasn't
wasn't
Bergevin.
Bergevin or Sorelli. Um, in terms of guys that could have gotten, I think Treliving was the best option of the guys that we're looking at.
Mhm.
Um, I've been reading up on him a little bit. Like, am I thrilled that Dubas is gone? No. Um, but my take on this, and from what I understand, Treliving's standpoint is going to be like he's going to be another set of eyes on the core. I don't think they keep all four of them. I think one of them goes no matter what. But it's another set of eyes on the issues. Like the Leafs' flaws are on defense. So it's going to be one of those things like which guy do you get rid of to bolster your defense a little bit? It's defense and it's defensive structure. Um I think Treliving I don't think he's a bad GM. It's just moves that he's done. He's had no choice to do. Like the Kachuk trade, Kachuk wanted out. He didn't have a choice. There were a couple of times where like he didn't really have a choice to make a trade. Um I think we're talking about the Flames a lot differently, and I don't think Treliving is the Leafs GM if the Flames didn't have Daryl Sutter as their head coach for as long as they did. I think they make the playoffs if Daryl Sutter's not there and Treliving's still there.
Yeah, True
Like, I don't
Living's
think they're
such
as
a
good as
mixed
Florida.
opinion.
What's up?
True Living just has I have really mixed opinions on him, and
So do
I'll get
I.
to that in a minute.
So do I. I mean, on one hand, different set of eyes. In terms of losing trades, like he's lost his fair share of a couple. But there are others, like I think the Kachuk trade right now it looks bad because the Panthers are in the Cup final and the Flames just shit the bed at the end of the year. I think we talk about it a little differently in a couple of years because I don't think Huberdeau just drops off a cliff like that, and I don't think Mackenzie Weegar does it either. I think it was mostly a structure problem with the Flames, and I think like structure problem, and you need to fire Jacob Markstrom into the fucking moon yesterday. That goaltending
Yeah.
performance, like he baffles me because like he has plays where like he's one of the best in the league. Like, how did he stop that? And he has others where he's like, oh my God, why did you leave the net? So in terms of Treliving, I think that he has potential, but in my opinion, it's a downgrade.
I definitely agree with it, like a downgrade. And I think some of the biggest ones for me, I remember, was that one big thing was the I remember there was a few things. One, there was that one for one swap where they sent Cam Talbot to uh
Edmonton,
Flames to the Flames, and they
yeah,
sent over Mike Smith to Edmonton.
yeah. Part of me
Right
thinks
idea
that
to
trade's a
get back.
win.
Well, it depends on who you
It's probably
ask.
a lose lose.
Eh,
You
maybe
know,
not as much. I mean, Mike
yeah,
Smith gave Edmonton valuable years. Cam Talbot only gave him like I think 1 or 2 seasons, and
yeah,
he was terrible with them. Or I remember the fact they willingly took Milan Lucic. I know they traded
yeah. That
away
was bad.
that was, and then they signed, and the only reason they got themselves in that mess is because they signed James Neal to that stupid deal after 1 year.
One for one swap, and it was bad. That was
It
a
was
voice crack.
horrible.
Holy hell.
It was horrible. And I think about those sort of things. Giving Jacob Marshall the 6x6, it seems like a good idea, but it's another one of those cases where he was back and forth. He had one big season. They reached for him.
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing. I will give credit. He made some moves that worked out. I mean, the Tyler Toffoli one's the greatest one. I mean, he took Toffoli from, was it Canadians?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Canadians.
Canadians. And it paid off perfectly. He was
Yeah.
probably one of their better players this season. But it's like, and I get, yeah, like I said, I think Daryl Sutter was a ginormous issue of that. The thing with Treliving is that, well, for me, it's like, it's like if every good move, it's like one that's like, why do it?
Yeah.
Like, why do that? Like,
For
it,
every good move he does, he has at least two bad ones.
yeah. And then there's times where it's just, and I've seen this the last few seasons where they desperately need to do something.
Yeah.
And he's usually one of the more passive GMs in the league. So, where
Yeah, because
Dubas is probably one of the most aggressive.
I don't think they made a trade during the entire trade deadline, did they?
They made like one. I think they got like Brett Ritchie
Yeah, I don't even
for some
think they
depth.
yeah, it was Brett Ritchie for his
I know they had
brother.
two.
It was
Oh,
Ritchie for Ritchie.
I think it was. Give me a second. I think they had two. I thought they had
Yeah.
someone else. Let
Because
me
I don't think
check.
they made any like roster changes other than like one during the trade deadline. Like it wasn't even that big of a deal when the Flames kind of needed it because they were in free fall still.
No, they were just stuck with and Darren Hunt.
Yeah, nah, that's not great.
That was
Um,
literally all they did for Raheem. Oh no, they traded Nick Ritchie for Brett Ritchie,
yeah,
and they got. Oh no, they got Nick Ritchie and Darren Hunt. Those are the two
yeah.
players they got.
Dude, you need more than that, man.
So I think that's where I kind of have my personal
Yeah,
problems because it's like they were both the biggest reasons. It wasn't even as much about the players in Calgary as it was management with
yeah.
terrible coaching killed them. The entire front office failed the Flames team and the fans.
Yeah, like I absolutely agree. And like it's gonna be interesting with what happens in the Leafs organization because like this is a question I have for you. Like, if the Leafs are underperforming and like they no doubt lose a trade for any of the core four, Matthews might not get locked up for the foreseeable future this offseason. Who do you fire first? Treliving or Shanahan?
Shanahan, without
Yep.
question, because here's my issue. Like I said, we talked about this in like two different episodes.
Yeah.
the decision was from the entirety of the board, either Dubas stays and Shanahan leaves, or Shanahan stays and Dubas leaves.
Yep.
Dubas is gone. Like, and that's my other issue with Tree Living is that I I don't know because of how the Leafs have been handling things. What moves start with him and what moves end with Shanahan? That's going to
Um,
be my biggest problem with this, is because I see him as a passive guy,
yeah.
and it's not a bad thing on him. I'm not insulting him as a person or anything. I think he's fine at his job, and I'm not trying to do that. But I don't know where he doesn't strike me as a guy who's going to be able to take conflict amazing. And a guy like Shanahan, he wants things his way.
Yeah, he does.
And Dubas was the kind of guy who could push back and stand on his ground. Like, I want this happening. Even if it gets vetoed, he stands on his what he thinks works.
Oh yeah, and
And
that's like the only reason why half of his trades went through.
yeah. So in the case of someone like Tree Living, I feel like a lot of those moves, if something goes wrong, it's not even as much of him making the moves. He's just the one kind of signing off on it because Shanahan's doing it. It's the same way with who was the assistant GM with the Penguins who also got fired? There was a third
Oh
name.
man.
He was the one who greenlit the freaking Mikkel Granlund trade. It's like Chris something. I was going to say Chris Ellis, but no.
Chris Pryor.
Chris Pryor, yes.
Chris
He's the
Pryor.
numbnuts who greenlit the Mikkel Granlund trade and traded away and wanted them to trade Bluger. Like,
Dude, that trade still makes absolutely
so
no
bad.
sense.
So that's my problem here, is that that's why I don't like the Tree Living hires, because it's like
Yeah.
he strikes me as Brian Burke for the Penguins. He strikes me as like someone like that. He's just someone who's really going to be there. He's going to make moves, but he's not really their GM in my
No,
mind.
he's
It's
not.
Shanahan.
It's a
It's
yes
just he's
man.
not getting labeled.
It's a yes
So
man.
that's why I think Shanahan
Yeah.
should get fired. Because if things go wrong this season, he's the one who's going to wear the egg on his face, especially if Pittsburgh starts immediately playing better.
Oh, you know they are.
And I'm pretty confident they're going to
Yeah.
save for a massive save for a rebuild, which I don't think will happen.
It won't
So
happen for a while. I think
no,
they're approaching the time to do it, but it's not going to happen yet.
no, they're going
I
to
give
keep
it like
trying.
3 or 4 years, you know?
Yeah, until they're basically just about to retire. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I agree with that. So if they start playing better, if you fire Tree Living, that just does nothing.
No, it
So
doesn't.
because Shanahan's the one who's going to be making most of the decisions this offseason, and Green
Yeah.
and Tree Living just going to be there to kind of
Tree Living's going to be like, hey,
stand
you want to
beside
do
him.
this? Sure, why not? Like,
So I guess that's my biggest gripe
yeah.
with Tree Living.
Yeah.
So
And
how do you feel on that?
the most interesting thing, like, before I get into the Tree Living stuff, the most interesting thing about this whole saga is Kyle Dubas isn't the general manager of the Penguins. He's the president of hockey operations. He has the same position Brendan Shanahan wanted, or Brendan Shanahan has.
Oh, really?
So it's one of those things. Like, I think he's going to act as GM as well. I don't know if they hire a GM or not, but it's one of those things where, like, Kyle Dubas got a promotion.
Hmm.
So the whole dynamic, especially with Dubas wanting to re-sign with Toronto, it was one of those things like, hey, I want autonomy of my team. I need to be able to make decisions to help this team win. And I can't do that. The reason why we have only won one round in my tenure was because I had this guy monitoring every single decision I made. They could have had Brendan Hagel. They could have had Ivan Barbashev. Who's another
I
guy they
can't
could have
believe
had like a
Barbashev was in
long
the
time
name.
ago?
That's crazy to
Yeah.
me.
There's a Tage Thompson they could have had with that report. Like, it's stuff like that where I don't blame Dubas for wanting to leave. I think if Dubas has full control of a team, he's a damn good GM. I think he's a damn good GM without it.
Yeah.
But with that being said, my opinion on Treliving is I think he's going to be a yes man for Brendan Shanahan. I think without a doubt, if the Leafs take a step back, or when they take a step back, Brendan Shanahan's gone. You can't keep him. You can't. He's been here since 2013. They've won one round with him. They have like
The
next to no
Shanna plan is to
success with
fail.
him. It's a fail. It's like the 76ers process all over again. It's a fail.
Ugh.
It it's a good parallel. It's a good
It
comparison.
is.
It's a fail. Like I, I think I think Treliving sticks around longer than Shanahan does. I don't necessarily think Treliving's going to do a bad job. I think he's going to be like iffy. He's going to have times where it's like, "What the hell were you thinking?" and other times like, "Wow, that's great." Um, I just don't see a future where Shanahan is back next season. I don't.
The only way is if they get past the second round.
Even then, I don't think so.
I think if they get have past the first two rounds, they wouldn't fire someone. You'd have to really like
Yeah,
collapse on
it
yourself to
depends.
fall apart. They would have lose in the first round again. There's no question in my mind that happens. If they miss the playoffs, well, that's just obvious.
Oh, if they miss the playoffs, it's a freaking disaster. That's a
They miss the
disaster.
playoffs. Nuclear codes get put into Toronto.
Dude, that's a disaster if they miss the playoffs,
I
especially
will
with
be
that
sending you a
Matthews
card if
deal
that
coming
happens.
up. I
I
mean,
will send you a card if that happens.
we'll see what happens. We'll see what
Because I feel,
happens.
like I said, I feel bad, and I'm like I said, all of the at the end of the day, I'm not saying this to destroy like what I think Brad Treliving is.
Yeah.
I think he has a lot of moves with the right idea in mind. A lot just did not work in his favor.
Yeah.
Part of it was horrible decisions. Like I said, the James Neal signing, the trading for Milan Lucic, trading, but then there's like signing the Markstrom contract to a 6x6 after 1 year,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But then I'm like, I also see times where it's like he's making good ideas that just completely fall on his face. Like this trade is the Chuck trade is the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
You trade for two guys who have genuinely played good in their career,
Yeah.
who've genuinely played good like the last 3 or 4 seasons, and they both put up career worse in just about every stat.
Yeah. And a big part of that, it's like right idea, wrong system.
Yeah. So
And that's what, like with a lot of his trades, like, hey, it's the right idea. You got a good player in theory, but when you put him into your system because of the head coach that you have, doesn't work.
I'm hoping, like I said, new mindset there can
Yeah.
being a new mindset with the Leafs can help things. By the way, have we heard anything about Keefe? Is Keefe still there?
Keefe is still there. He's probably going to stay this season. So it's the
All
exact
right.
opposite of what fans wanted.
Yep, that sounds about right. Oh god.
Yeah, the Maple Leaf way, baby.
Don't tell me you guys are turning into a boys club.
We've been a boys club for a while.
Hey, you're not even top five.
No, we're not, but they've been a boys club for a while.
They're getting bad. Like I said, if you want to talk about
Yeah,
boys clubs, I could do this loud and proud because Seattle's not one. Not right now.
not yet. You guys don't have enough history to be a boys club.
That is true. We're not Boston. We're not Edmonton. Not freaking Chicago.
LA.
At least they're winning.
Mm, like it's not always bad. Philly's also a boys club, by the way.
The Philly is most definitely a boys club.
Yeah,
But yeah, so it's it's just frustrating to watch. I'm
yeah,
gonna be optimistic, one, because I want to do it for your sake, but
yeah. I mean, we'll see. It's just like to any season, my reaction is going to be we'll see how it goes. I'm going to try not to judge like super hard before the season starts because you never know until the team hits the ice. So,
and the good thing is there's not a lot of like really like guys who are gonna get massively overpaid. What
yeah.
scares me is
Is he's going to make a stupid fucking trade?
I no, actually, no, it's this. I'm afraid he's gonna give a stupid amount of money to Jason Zucker.
Oh my God. Don't even put that into existence.
I
Oh my
have a
God.
feeling that could happen. I feel like
Christ.
this could be James Neal for the Leafs.
The real deal. Jason Zucker. Fuck.
I really hope I don't I feel I'm probably wrong,
Nah.
but
I don't
I
think they're going to
just
do anything like that because they can't afford it.
well that is true. You guys are stuck in Capel.
Yeah, we're stuck there for another 2 years. It's fine. But
God.
speaking of the salary cap, because this is another good topic to go off of, which like this contract, shocked the
Oh,
hell out of me. Like, this was a damn good move. Like, it's actually kind of scary because both of their core guys are locked up to below 10 million, which, like, hey, I would kill for that. But Montreal signs Cole Caufield. I know there was a lot of concern about this before this signing occurred. A lot of Habs fans thought like, hey, maybe he doesn't resign here. There were a lot of videos of him like just doing a lot of personal stuff versus trying to get a deal done. Um, Especially the reports, like it's Canadian media, especially with hockey players, like a lot of paranoia. You want your top guys to stay there. It's like any big
hmm
market for any sport. You want your top guys to stay there. But
yeah,
the Canadians signed Cole Caulfield 8 years, really good. Sign him until he's 30. The best thing about it is his average annual value is cap hit is $7.85 million a year. That is
that's
a
crazy.
crazy steal for Cole Caulfield.
That is crazy. I'm doing
Like future
Montreal.
elite goal scorer, maybe even current elite goal scorer Cole Caulfield.
He scored 26 goals in 46 games. That's how
Yeah.
crazy he was
Yeah.
playing. Like he's a guy who said a game changer for them.
Yeah, like the guy is nasty. Even like that 2021 Stanley Cup playoff run, he was nasty. Like having him and Suzuki locked up, it's a good move.
Yeah, especially because right now they got two contracts that are kind of
Yeah.
hurting them in a way,
Yeah.
but they're not in a place where it's like it's gonna kill
No.
them. You know which ones I'm talking about. It's
Yeah.
Josh Anderson and
Hmm.
Gallagher.
I think there's a team that could want Josh Anderson though. I don't think they're stuck with that deal.
They're
There's
both
definitely a team
modifying
that
their
could
trade
want him.
clauses.
Yeah. But there's definitely a team that could want him, in my opinion. Definitely a team that could want him.
Yeah, honestly, if I'm the Canadians, I'm saying you keep like I said, you build around Caufield, Suzuki, you build around those two, and I say keep Kirby Doc as well because I think he can get
Kirby
better.
Doc, yes.
I think that was a great decision, and Blackhawks are stupid for letting him go.
Oh yeah.
But
Look pretty good in the rebuild right now.
if you could get any value for the Anderson trade, find a way.
Yep.
And I'd say trade Mike Hoffman.
Yeah, I'd support that too. Um, my thing about the Habs right now is they're in a good spot. Um, just they got kind of unlucky last year with the draft selection. Like maybe Slavkovsky
I like what he
develops.
brings.
I like what he brings. He just didn't really wow me this year. Like
He also didn't play a ton from what I
no,
saw
he didn't. He needed to get some development. He really needed to.
because he got hurt for a
Yeah.
while.
Like I think he'll end up being decent. I don't know if he was a first overall pick quality player, but I think he brings something that the Habs will need down the road.
Yeah, especially because right now they got a lot of turnover. But what
Yeah.
also isn't helping them is that they've had some of the worst luck I've ever seen with injuries, like
Yeah.
besides Columbus. When you're a bad team, one of the biggest issues is that your team doesn't stay healthy. But like there's a difference between like when I watch Columbus, I was like their strength and conditioning is terrible there.
Oh yeah.
Whereas something like this, it's like it's genuinely some of the worst luck I've ever seen with
Yeah.
players. Mike Hoffman, Dvorak, Cole Caulfield, Paul Byron, Kirby Doc, Monahan, Josh Anderson, Sokowski, Matheson, Savard, Jordan Harris, Carey Price. I mean, that's I still have another like three names I didn't name.
Yeah.
Like that's
Sometimes that's a
ridiculous.
blessing and sometimes that's a blessing in disguise if you're a bad team though. That can net you a first overall pick sometimes.
Not this year.
Yeah, yeah. But if it did this year, like that was a big concern for division rivals.
Like they
Maybe the
have,
Habs.
yeah. Whereas it's not like Philly or Columbus or the Ducks, where it's like there's a lot of question marks. I think they have a lot there that could work.
Yeah, they do. They just need to retool some things, and I think they got a lot there.
So I'm hoping that's why, like
Yeah,
keeping Caulfield with Suzuki,
yeah. You just need an elite defender now.
someone like a Jeff
If I'm them in the
Petrie,
draft,
Shea Weber type
yeah. If I'm them in the draft, I'm picking defensemen 10 times out of 10.
desperately.
Maybe a goaltender, maybe.
Actually, let me check something. There's someone on the defense I want to check. Is Matheson is still there for another three
Matheson's still
seasons, so
there.
that's gonna be huge
Matheson
for them.
Matheson's not an elite player, but he's a damn good one.
He's a great player to have on like
Yeah.
a second or third line.
Yeah. Yeah.
So keeping him and Jordan Harris, I think, are going to be two huge keeps.
Yes.
So
Arber's
excited for
Xhekaj is
that.
going to be a big keep too if they can do
Jack,
it.
yeah, I like him as well.
Yeah. Wi-Fi. That's his nickname.
Oh, you scared me for a second.
Oh,
You can't say
you thought.
Wi-Fi after I've crashed twice on these episodes.
Ladies and gentlemen, my co-host is having internet problems, and I just said Wi-Fi out of nowhere.
I just had paranoia for a second.
Well then.
Oh, that's funny,
Well,
actually.
that
No, but
sucks.
yeah, but I do like overall what the Canadians are doing. So I'm
Yeah,
very glad he's staying. I
me
really
too.
am.
Me too. Me too. Even though it pains me to say that as a fan of a division rival, I think he's a good fit. I do. He's a good player. Leafs fans
Yeah.
don't crucify me. He's a good player and you know it. The only reason you don't think he is because he wears a Habs jersey.
And destroys you guys.
He destroys everyone.
He does. He's just nasty.
Yes, yes.
Oh God.
All right.
I'm scrolling through the last topics and
Are we
the
getting
last.
into
We
the
only have two
one that was
topics left, and they're both painful to talk about.
oh, we should probably
Which
rip the band-aid off for the most painful one and then
end
end on kind of a rant, I guess.
on a laughing one. We can laugh the
Yeah,
last one off.
yeah.
This
So
one you really can't. It's not
before
pretty.
we get into this, first, there's a trigger warning to everyone. This topic deals with potential sexual assault, potential human trafficking. We don't know all of the details yet. We were gonna cover it in a previous episode, but more information has come out. It's
Yes.
still a lot of unknown. Keep in mind these are allegations. Nothing is proven yet. So all of this stuff is what allegedly happened. But there has been a situation regarding Valerie Nichushkin of the Colorado Avalanche that pretty scary situation. If you guys, as you guys know or might not know, Nichushkin was not with the Colorado Avalanche after Game 2 of the first round of the Seattle series.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what happened was allegedly there was a highly intoxicated woman that was found in his hotel room. Um, they couldn't identify her. She didn't have her driver's license. She didn't have a passport. Um, she said that she was from Ukraine. Especially with the conflict in Russia, it makes the situation look even worse. We don't know a ton of stuff yet, but as far as the NHL is concerned, which kind of puts a bad taste in my mouth, especially with like nothing is settled right now. The NHL said that they would not be conducting an investigation to the matter and that Colorado dealt with it in a swift way, which just to me as an onlooker, I just don't think that's the case. Especially with the video that came out. I just don't think that's the case at all.
Yeah. Like I was gonna say, is it possible to play it, or is there a good chance we get copyrighted if we do it?
I
If we
don't
put it going on YouTube?
I don't think we can. Um
Good chance we get copyrighted.
Yeah, there's a good chance we get copyrighted, and I'm not sure if I want to put our fans through that because it's a tough listen. Um, Basically, to give you
Fair.
guys the rundown, the woman was in an ambulance and she was saying that she didn't have her ID, she didn't have her passport, and that quote a bad man took her driver's license and her passport or her ID, not necessarily her driver's license. It's just a very uncomfortable situation. A lot of things have been alleged to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just really tough, man. I just don't think the NHL is doing enough with this situation, especially with saying that Nichushkin was eligible to play next season. Like, it just doesn't really sit well with me because, like, I know it's innocent until proven guilty, but at the same time, with a situation like this, I think personally it's in everyone's best interest to keep him out of games, enable like in order to sort this thing out, to conduct a proper investigation in accordance with law enforcement in both Denver and Seattle to fully understand what's happened. Like you need to get proper identification, you need to run through all processes that you possibly can to ensure that one, this person is safe, and two, to make sure all of the facts are understood before going, oh, nothing happened. He can play again.
Yeah.
Like it's
You
just
really
stuff like
can't rush
that.
a decision like this, especially because teams try to. It's like this in every sport. When you find something bad that happens, like I'm trying to remember the Spurs player in the NBA.
Oh, I don't remember.
I'm gonna try and remember it. Or in the NFL, all the stuff that happened with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
He ended up sitting out an entire season. I don't remember. I think that was the league telling him he couldn't play for a season.
it was the league telling him
Or
he couldn't play, and it was his contract dispute with the Texans as well. It was two
that's
things.
also
It was
true.
two things. Um, but just in a situation like this, especially when you don't know anything and really no one knows a whole lot about it, you probably shouldn't be giving him the green light to play because he's still in a prominent position. And like,
Yeah.
if he's an alleged, if he's an alleged predator, like you can't have a person like this in a high position because like he could act again. Like you don't know.
Yeah.
And like I'm not trying to write him off as guilty. Like I'm absolutely not. It's just like optics for the NHL and keeping the well-being for most importantly, keeping the well-being for those around him. Like you don't want another situation like this to happen. Like you need to do your due diligence. You need to make sure that you look through every single thing you possibly could and make sure that if he is truly innocent, then he can play games. If you can't prove it, then he shouldn't be playing no matter what. Like I don't care how important he is to a team. I don't care like how big of a contract extension he got from the Avs last year. He shouldn't be playing until like everyone knows concrete that he didn't do this. Because if he did, you're looking at a serious penalty, and it's going to look even worse on the NHL, especially with what happened last summer with the Blackhawks. Like, you just can't have another thing like this with stones left unturned. Like, you can't go, speaking of the Blackhawks, like, you can't go a whole decade with something like this happening and then all of a sudden go, oh shit, something bad happened and we ignored it for so long. Like you need to deal with it and you need to deal with it now.
Yeah. I mean, it's basic PR 101. If there's a crisis, you gotta be able to find when it's just an issue.
Yeah.
And I think and that's my take on this is that I think that the league and the team are treating this as like it's not a full-blown crisis until it falls under guilty. Because I compare it so much to the Sean Watson situation because
Yeah.
when it was like two or three cases, the Texans and the whole league didn't take it as an issue. When it started getting to like when it became like fucking 14, 15,
Yeah.
20, I think it's now up to like as high as 26.
Yeah, it's
Like
something crazy like that. But even like
like
two or three
it's
accusations is
bad,
still pretty
yeah.
fucking bad.
It is
Even
bad,
one
but
even one is bad. Like you need to do your due diligence at least,
yeah.
man.
It's just one of those cases where I don't know how to really best describe it as in until the facts come to light. I think the NHL and the Avs are both treating it as like wait till what happens and then make a decision.
Yeah. And it's like especially like say
That's the only way I can think of it.
Nichushkin is innocent in all this, holding him out kind of protects him a little bit in a way. It keeps his name out of the spotlight. It keeps the attention off of him so you can do your investigation properly so there's no distraction. while on the other hand, if he's guilty, he's not making all of this money on his contract when he shouldn't have been because there's possibly a criminal case on him. Like it is a very delicate situation where it's one of those things where like I don't think he should be represented prominently until we know that 100% that he is innocent of all this, because if he did what he allegedly is said to have done, like it's just a bad situation and you have another
Yeah.
nightmare on your hands. Not only is this woman's life ruined, you have another nightmare on your hands for multiple people involved.
I
Like
was curious though, did anything like because they talked about another guy who was like talking with police and all that stuff. Well, one of the Avs team staff,
that
Bradley
was
Chantrum.
a retired police sergeant who works as the Avalanche security, which he gave a mediocre rundown of the situation. The other thing to note was a lot of the audio was redacted from it because it revealed personal information. It revealed other stuff that you can't necessarily put out
Yeah,
yet
no, you can't because
because
that
it's
would
going
be
to
like
be in possible
personal
court
doxing or something.
proceedings.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be that and like possible court proceedings. Like, I don't think we see the end of this. I think there's something that will come out about this like throughout the off season. It's something that we're going to keep an eye on,
Yeah, we'll
but
keep an eye on this for
it's just a
everybody.
very scary situation, and unfortunately, this is not the first time something like this has happened, and the really unfortunate thing is it's probably not gonna be the last.
No, everybody's got some form of ulterior motives, good, bad, or either. So I'm hoping this was just a situation that just got weird or ugly or something, and it's something that can be sorted
All all we
for
can
all
hope
sides.
for all we can hope for is that the truth comes out, and if Nichushkin is innocent, he can resume playing in the NHL. If he's not, he needs to go away for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, it's just you need to find the truth. Situation sucks really for everyone, but at the end of the day, you need to figure out what happened, what's going on, make sure everyone gets the proper justice that they deserve, especially no matter where you are in the world, like just proper justice needs to be served.
Without question.
Um, all right.
Yeah.
I think we covered that decently. Let us know if there's any updates or anything like that. If you guys want us to cover any more about the situation, we'll do it to the best of our abilities. Like I said, that the topic is very uncomfortable. We're not afraid to talk about it,
No.
but at the same time, like our takes might not always be the best in this situation because like we really don't know a whole lot about this situation. It's not just us, it's the entire hockey world. Like no one really knows a lot of what's transpired or what
Yeah.
has or hasn't transpired. Like we don't know all of it yet. If there's an update, we'll provide it to you guys.
'Cause at the end of the day, we got to treat it like journalists because in just like like how it is in America or how it is in most places that have laws like this, you or I don't like I forget how other countries and courts do it, but like especially here, like we have the idea of innocent until proven guilty. So
Yeah.
we are we are trying to give it from both sides and give
Yes.
be as not as much middle, but as much as just reporting the facts and giving
Yeah.
letting you all have your decision to make the call how it goes.
Yeah. And it's one of those things like you got to give the middle, you got to give the hypothetical. If one thing didn't happen, here's what should happen. If one thing did happen, here's what should happen. It's like one of those things we're not trying to necessarily pick sides or anything like that. We're just trying to get information to you guys the best way that we can while trying to keep our listeners as comfortable as they possibly can be in a situation like this.
Yeah,
Like it's just a very
because it
tough
sucks.
conversation. Yeah, it sucks, but it's a conversation that needs to be had because like you need awareness on this type of thing. Because if you don't spread awareness, then stuff like this, which might be what the NHL PR team wants to happen, will just fade into the dark and no one will ever hear about it.
Yeah,
So it's something like that where it's an uncomfortable conversation, but
it's
it's one
never
that needs
good.
to be had.
So I think to transition from something that was
Yeah.
a little dark and scary to our favorite past. No, I'm kidding. Laughing
Lighthearted.
at the lead. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, yeah, that is kind of my favorite pastime.
Well,
Laughing at Gary Bettman being a moron.
you do this. I'm finding the exact statement.
So, a tweet came up on my timeline yesterday from Gary Bettman. Well, Gary Bettman didn't tweet this, but he said this at the Stanley Cup Final Media Day, where basically he thinks that George Peros, who is the director of player safety, thinks that he's doing a good job. Now, anyone who's watched any playoff hockey knows he's full of shit. That he is not good at his job and he's deserved to be fired like the second he got hired. He's terrible. Like, for those of you who don't know who George Peros was, or really is, George Peros was a player in the NHL. He did not really record any mind-blowing stats other than he had 1,092 penalty minutes in his career in 474 games played. He had 36 points. So basically, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Goon before with Doug Glatt. He's basically like that. He is a career fighter. Yeah. He's a career fighter. Like, I don't understand why you would put a guy who was a career goon in a position like that. Like, you're almost asking for trouble. Oh, gee, like that $5,000 fine sure will get him to knock it off. No, it won't. Tom Wilson with that tirade on the Rangers a couple of years ago, he got $5K for that.
Can we appreciate that? Tom Wilson punched Buchnevich, who was knocked out, hurt Panarin. I don't even think got a game.
Brendan Lemieux, he got $5,000.
Brendan Lemieux, 5 games for biting. Actually, 5 games for eating.
5 games for eating, thank you. Everyone knows the rule. 1 bite is biting, 2 bites is eating. It is. I agree, 100%. It's eating. He ate Brady Tkachuk. He did. He did. Wild. It broke skin. He ate Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah, that's the point I'm getting at, though. Like, that's 5 games, and I get it because
yes, and it deserved to be 5 games.
Get your head on a screw, like, but he punched a knocked out dude and hurt someone, and they're like, repeat offender. Who's this? Never heard of him.
Oh wait, he hasn't had a suspension in 8 months. I don't know this guy. He looked.
I see no evil.
Tilson. Who is Wom Tilson? Like,
I see no
fuck
evil.
off.
But like, it's just tough at the playoffs. Like, because how many names have we listed? Matt Dumba,
no suspension.
Cale Makar, 1 game.
He got a game.
Jordan Eberle, nothing.
Got a game.
But did he?
Did he get a game?
Jordan Eberle, I don't think got a game.
Oh my fuck! Wow. Okay.
Cogliano, yeah, I'm pretty sure he got nothing for that.
Oh my god, he didn't get a game for breaking a dude's neck. Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, I don't think he got a game. Jamie Benn got 2.
Michael Bunting gets what? 3 games for 3 games for a shot to the head, but there's another hit, the exact same, in the next series against Florida, what didn't get a suspension. Radko Gudas brains David Kampf against the boards like seconds after the whistle. No suspension, no fine.
I was about to say which Matthew Dumba hit. Can I talk about the one on Pavelski, the
All
one on Marchman, or the one on who was the other one? Robertson, I think.
All of them.
Or no, Hintz. It was one.
It was Hintz, I think. But like,
God,
he's doing a great job. In other news, I need to get LASIK eye surgery because I'm fucking blind. Alex Pietrangelo, the Paul Bunyan swing on goddamn Leon Draisaitl.
1 game.
Suspending Darnell Nurse for instigating a fight in the last like 5 minutes.
It's okay. It's okay. They're all enjoying their 5K fine.
Like, to give you an idea, these guys getting fined $5,000 is the equivalent of us getting fined like $5 to $20
parking tickets.
Yeah, it's like $20.
Ticket for $20. Yeah.
So like, oh, I can swing my stick at someone for $20. Like, really? That's not going to deter a hockey player who's pissed off. Pound of flesh, like the Panthers have gotten away with like taking a pound of flesh in like every single game they've gotten, like punching people behind the net, doing whatever they've had to. No one's gotten suspended for it.
Why do you
Sam
think
Bennett
guys like
hasn't got
Sam?
suspended for it.
Well, I was about to say, why do you think Sam Bennett and Rodger Gudis have been like two of the biggest players for them?
Like, what the
Because they
fuck?
know, because they take advantage of how the league handles things right now, and it's worked for them because
Dude,
that style of play. It's the same with the freaking Knights. Look at how they handled the
yeah, I
Oilers.
know.
Look
The
at how they
Knights have done the
completely
same thing.
manhandled the Oilers.
And I guarantee you that Matthew Tkachuk's not going to get suspended for his hit on Jack Eichel tonight, too. I'll
Oh
put money
no,
on it. I'll put money on
no.
it. I've gotten like 4 texts. Like, I haven't been watching the game. I got like 4 texts like, Jack Eichel's fucking dead. And I'm like, oh no.
You know what's funny? He came back in the game and dished an
Yeah.
assist. I don't know if it's 5-0 or 4-0.
But like, George Peros literally has over
6-2.
1,000 penalty minutes.
That's so funny to me.
He has 1,000. And let's put him in charge of player safety, even though he's probably like given brain damage to like a bunch of players. That
You
makes
think,
sense.
like I said, ever since they've only ever done it really to one guy where they've dealt with them. That's because he did it for like a freaking half a decade or decade plus. You know who I'm talking about.
Who is it?
Rafi Torres.
Yeah, and that wasn't George Peros who suspended
No.
Rafi Torres. That was my good old buddy Brendan Shanahan. Which Shanahan in that role was actually decent. He actually gave out suspensions when they deserved to be suspensions. He wasn't afraid to give a guy half a season because he's a dumb fuck, braining people like every chance he got.
I find it funny when one of the biggest people who called him out is freaking James fucking Dolan.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
There's enough videos on how
George
he's handled the
Peros,
Knicks,
that's the
and he called him out.
only time I've agreed with him. One of the only times that we feel like George Peros is unfit in his current position and needs to be
Wow.
fired. Like, yeah, no shit. In other news, grass is fucking green and the sky's blue. Like, yes, he sucks.
And he got fined like I think $50K.
He got fined more than Tom Wilson did for braining a guy while he was on the ice and slamming Artemi Panarin by the hair onto the ice.
The issue is it's a two-sided coin here. This issue falls on both ends because it's on the league for not handling player safety in a smart and responsible manner. But until players are like, yes, fine us
more money,
protect us, like actually like care about these suspensions, nothing's gonna change. Like it took literally a ton of problems with the NFL before they actually started taking stuff seriously. It wasn't until people like Vontaze Burfict literally was killing guys. I'm not
Antonio Brown,
Jack Doyle. I could keep going. There's like 5 other names.
Yeah. In his college days.
Panthers. His Arizona State days, I think.
Yeah.
Or Arizona was one of them. I think it was
Arizona State.
Like, and then you look at the NHL. It's been getting better-ish in terms of like the nasty hits going away. And like the nasty behavior. It's still there, obviously, because you got literally last year, Brendan Lemieux tried to eat someone.
And like, I think the dirty hits have gone down because players are more skilled now. But at the same time, I think there's a way to get around the fines because, like, say, like, if you don't think a $5,000 fine is enough deterrent, which it clearly fucking isn't with the pattern in this league, what you need to do is not be afraid to suspend a guy. Like, that's the type of thing. If you don't think a $5,000 fine is enough of a punishment, you can get around the maximum fine by suspending a guy. And that's what they need to be able to do. Because, like, the $5,000 fine, if they don't think it's enough, suspend him. That's what it's there for.
Yeah. It's
like, he just doesn't do it. It's annoying as fuck when you see your favorite player get cross-checked in the back of the head, punched in the face, or given a concussion for no repercussions.
It's not great watching your team be that idiot. Because, like,
It wasn't
You and
fun
I both
watching
saw
Michael
this
Bunting being a dumbass.
and hurting. Who was it again?
Eric Chernak.
Yeah. Or in the case of or Matthew Nyes getting freaking brutalized.
And there was no suspension on that.
No. Like you were talking about the David Camp hit. The Matthew Nyes one was worse.
Like,
There's
yeah,
nothing on that. Or on my case, like I said, freaking Jared McCann gets brained into the board in a game that was well over.
one game.
It's one game. Jared McCann did come back to halfway through the freaking Star Series. And
Like,
and then at my end, on the receiving end of that, I watched Jordan Eberle probably end Andrew Cogliano's career.
yeah, and get no
He got
games.
nothing. He got nothing. And I'm sitting there shocked.
Yeah.
Granted, it helped us because Eberle came through for us at many points, especially game 6. But it feels hollow because it's I literally
never
just
want to
watched him
see
destroy someone's career.
Yeah. And you never
it
want to
wasn't
see
accidental.
you never want to see your team benefit from an injury to another guy. You never want to see that. It just doesn't matter how you won. If you have that in the
Especially
back of your mind,
intentionally.
it sucks.
Intentionally is the worst.
Yeah. And I've had a proposal that I've heard for a long time where it's if you really want to punish these guys, especially if they injure someone, this should be if they injure someone. If they don't, it's a different story. But if they do, they should be held out, especially in the playoffs. They should be held out for the remainder of the series that the injured player is out. So, if a player misses the rest of the series due to an injury off of a concussion, the perpetrator needs to be out the rest of the series too. Can't come back until game 1 of the next one.
The playoffs are that's a great
Yeah.
example.
It's something
you have
that.
to be able
That'll
to determine
deter
if it's a nasty hit or not.
Yeah.
If it's an intentional hit or not.
That'll be a deterrent, though.
In the case, because did Draisaitl play the rest of that series?
Yes.
When he got the freaking Paul Bunyan chop on him?
It's that one's different because he wasn't out for games, but you got to give more than one game. It's blatant intent to injure. Because there are some suspension-worthy hits that, you can't really do anything about. There are some, really bad hits that were just, you're in a bad position, but you deserve to be punished for it. But there are others where it's, a blatant attempt to injure. The Jamie Benn cross-check or the Alex Petrangelo swing. It's stuff like that where you need to have proper punishments for this. Because if you don't, players are going to keep doing it. We see it every single year. Sam Bennett is going to get someone seriously injured for not getting punished all playoff long.
Yeah.
And he's not even the only one.
It's not Sam Bennett. It's Matt Dumba. It's Petrangelo. It's freaking Jamie Benn.
It's Ryan Reeves.
Matthew Tkachuk. It's Ryan Reeves.
Tom Wilson. Darnell Nurse has a tendency to do it. It's a lot of players, and I think the reason why it's a lot of players is because they're allowed. If there isn't any punishment, on something that's blatantly intent to injure, then it's allowed. It just is. If there's no punishment, it's allowed. It sucks. But they just need to get better at giving proper punishment, because until they do that, this shit's going to continue happening. And we're going to have more and more stories of former hockey players having health problems because they weren't protected.
Yeah, it's just, especially because we can't actively check CTE, but it's we joke about the NFL with all the CTE issues.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown's the highlight of that. But I think hockey has it worse than any sport.
Yeah, because the players are just
have CTE.
The players are just the least protected nowadays. It sucks, but until you adopt, you actually need the safety, because you can have a balance with good playoff hockey that people love because it's so fast, it's hard hitting. You can have that balance, but you need to set a precedent from the start of what's going to fly and what isn't, rather than just changing it up. You need to be able to have a system where, if you're a dumbass, you're going to win a stupid prize.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main problem. So, just at the end of this, George Parros is not doing a good job. You need someone new who's not afraid to swing the suspension hammer, because George Parros just doesn't do it.
Yeah. It's so painful.
It is.
So we like laughing at. It's fun laughing at the pretend league. No, I'm kidding. No,
Yeah.
any hockey fans just want to come just kill me right now. I'm
What?
kidding. I said hockey, the pretend league, the
It is a
NHL.
pretend league. It is. I don't think you're gonna get crucified for saying that. In what
Old
other
hockey fans might
sport?
believe that.
In what other sport is there documented evidence other than basketball, maybe, where you have a ref on mic saying we're going to make up a call because the other team is up in power plays because you need to have them tied? That's a whole other issue.
I forgot about
Fucking Tim
that.
Peel. Worst follow ever on Twitter, by the way. Tim Peel. Terrible.
Followed you.
No, Tim Peel.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
if you want to lose like countless brain cells other than playing in the NHL because they don't protect you worth the shit, is follow Tim Peel on Twitter. Terrible. Because he's part of the problem.
Siri go off.
Siri did go off. I'm so mad that Siri's going off.
That's so funny.
Here's what I found on Tim Peel being a piece of shit.
Oh god, let's see this.
God, no.
Yeah, I was about to say.
No.
Also, just quick update because I was looking at the game. I just went to do a check on the game. It's probably over now. It is 6-2 Vegas.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, Lion
So,
came in.
at the conclusion of this podcast, Vegas is up 2-0 in the series. So to conclude, let us know if you guys think Florida can come back from 2-0. I think game 3 is going to be a very big indicator on how this series is going to go.
Mhm.
We might see another scenario where another team has to be the 5th team ever to come back from 3-0. We'll see. I hope not, because I'm hoping that we get a decent final like the NBA finals have turned out to be.
Hope we get like I really like had a worry it was gonna be like Montreal
Yeah,
Lightning, and while I don't think it is that yet.
it
Next game's
has
gonna be the Dome.
potential to be.
If Florida does not show up in game 3, it's probably gonna be like that.
Yeah, I hope not, but we'll see. But yeah, you guys got a pretty long episode this week.
Oh yeah.
A lot of news came out, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of news this upcoming week. But thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good week. Once again, if you're a Knights or Panthers fan, good luck in the finals. We wish you guys the best. But until then, we will see you next week. Take care, everyone.